Hey everyone, it's Bethany. Welcome back to day 12 of my Cricut Craft Gift Guide. I'm really excited to do this project today because we're working with Infusible Ink and I absolutely love working with Infusible Ink. It's one of my favorite materials to work with. And in this particular craft, we are going to be creating the ceramic coasters with Infusible Ink. And I really love this process because the process is really fun, but also the final reveal of the Infusible Ink on the ceramic coasters is always really exciting. Plus, I always think that the final look is super polished because it has a really nice high gloss finish. So in this particular gift, we are going to be creating a set of 4 coasters for someone who loves to do quilting and sewing. So I'm going to base my 4 designs for my 4 coasters around quilting and sewing, and I think it's going to turn out really pretty. So you can personalize this for just about anyone. So just because mine is quilting and sewing does not mean you have to do yours that way. You can go ahead and pick a hobby that the person you're going to give these to really loves. So if your person loves football, you could do a set of 4 that is based around football. Or if your person loves to camp, you could do a camping theme. So all you need to do is find what your person really loves and base your design off that, and they're going to be thrilled to receive something like this. So as for materials, we are going to be using the circle ceramic coasters from Cricut. I will go ahead and place links to all of the materials I use in this video in case you want to shop this look and recreate it at your own craft table. I also have a lint-free cloth, and then I have heat-resistant tape. The Infusible ink we're going to be using is this wildflower pattern, and I'm really excited because I haven't used some of the patterns in this kit yet, and I think it's going to be really pretty and turn out really nice. And then I also have some cardstock and a Cricut EasyPress mat. And then for our heat source, we're going to be using the Cricut EasyPress 2, and I just have my 9x9. Okay, and before we hop into Cricut Design Space and start designing our project, we are going to be doing a question of the day. And our question today is, where is your favorite place to shop for craft supplies? So be sure to pop down into the comment section and answer that question as I'm crafting today. And also, please be sure to like this video if you're enjoying this gift series. We have 15 days and it's been really fun. So be sure you also share this video so that you can also inspire other people with how to get crafty with their Cricut machines when it comes to gift giving. All right, let's hop into Design Space and get designing. Okay, so to start making our coasters, I'm going to go over to the shapes box, and it is the second from the bottom over on the left. I'm going to grab a circle, and I'm just going to create a template for my coasters. That way I can base my designs and size them on a template and make sure everything is sized correctly. So I'm going to come up to the size, and I'm going to say 3.5 because they are 3.5-inch circles, and then I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger so that we can really see it. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this 3 times so that I have a total of 4 coasters to work with, and then I will start getting my designs ready. So now I can go ahead and go to images, and I am going to search for sewing. And there are quite a few results, so I'm going to just scroll through here and see which I like the best. So I know I like this little sewing machine here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I also think this little button is going to be really cute, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And then this is really neat. I don't like the design as is, but I love the scissors and the little thread, so I'm going to go grab that, and then I'm going to do a little editing in the canvas section. And that should be it. So I have 3 images. I'm going to go ahead and insert my images, and my 4th is going to be made out of text. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting these all ready. So because I have a circle design here, I can go ahead and delete one of my circles up here, and I'm just going to create one of my coasters as a button look. So I think that'll be really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and just size that at 3.5 so that it is the size of a coaster, and that will be one of my coasters. I think that'll be really cute. Okay, so for this one, it is a multi-layer cut file. So what I need to do is determine which layer I want, because I'm just going to be using it to slice out of my coaster. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to turn off a bunch of layers, and I'm going to use this layer right here. And if you notice, there is a little cut right here. So I need to go into contour. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and go into contour, and then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to turn off this little cut right here because I don't want the Cricut to make a cut there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this down to my coaster here, and that's looking just about right. I might make that a little bit smaller. And what I want to do is I want the Infusible ink to be that gray area, and I'm going to slice this out of my Infusible ink because when working with Infusible ink, I like to have my Infusible ink be the showcase. So I want most of my coaster to be ink, and then I'm just going to have this little sewing machine just be white. So then I'm going to select both of them, and I am going to see what align and center does. Okay, I don't visually think that's quite what I'm going for, so I'm just going to center that by my own eye, and that looks good to me. So now, I'm going to bring that over a little bit actually. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that layer that I'm working with, and I'm going to select my circle. And because I only have 2 layers selected, 2 are highlighted over here, I can come down here and click slice. So now I can just remove my slices from the coaster. There's quite a few in there, so I'll just take those out. Okay, and then I am just left with my final piece right here. So I sliced it right out of there, and I think that's going to look really nice. Okay, so I have 2 done, and then in this, what I'm going to do is I am actually going to use my contour button again. I'm actually going to take away this surrounding area and this handmade part, and I just like the scissors and the thread. So I'm going to go to contour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so I can see everything pretty well. And then I'm just going to start taking away the elements that I don't want. So I don't want the ribbon. And you can either click over here or you can scroll down through here and click these off. So sometimes it's easier to do one or the other or a little bit of both, but whatever is easiest for you. And then I also like to put my design down here because then I can watch it being edited in real time, and it just helps me to see what still needs to be taken away. Okay, so that looks good. This is what I want to have in the end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same technique. I'm going to do some slicing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my coaster. I think that looks really, really cute. Okay, now I'm just going to center that visually, and I think that looks really good. I'm going to then highlight both of them and slice. So then I can take my little slice results out of there, delete those, and I'm left with my base just like this. Okay, so now for my last one, I am going to create a little text feature with the text. So I am going to go over to text, and I'm going to come up and search for, I think the first one I'm going to use is 4 Seasons Home Decor, which is a really cute text. So I am going to say so, perfect, and I am actually going to say so sweet so, kind of like home sweet home, but I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the so because we're going to have 2 of those. And then with sweet, with my middle word, I am going to use a font called Feather. So I'm going to type that into search. And that font, whoops, it just moved my other one. Let me go ahead and make a new text box for Feather. Okay, and Feather is from fontbundles.com. So that is a really fun font that I love to use. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to ungroup my letters and just drag them together. That way they all connect. You can also use the line spacing button or the letter spacing button to bring those together. I'm going to do it this way because that is how I like to do it. Okay, and I think that looks really nice. So now I'm going to highlight everything and weld them together. That's super, super important. And then I'm going to just get those sized how I'd like them. Okay, so I like how this looks just like this. And then I am going to take all of them and say align and center horizontally. Okay, so I like that these so and so are centered, but I'm going to bring this out just a little bit, just like that. Okay, looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and take these and I am going to weld them together so that they are one layer, because the next step is slicing, and you can only slice 2 layers at a time. So you want to make sure that you have them all in one layer. Okay, so now I'm just going to center this on the coaster how I think visually looks best, and I like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight, and I am going to slice. Okay, so now I can take my slice result out of that and delete these 2, and I am all set to go. Now if you'll notice, my button is a different color, so I'm going to go ahead and make everything one color, because I'm going to slice everything on one mat. Even though I'm going to be using some different colors of Infusible ink, I want them to all cut on one mat, so I want my Cricut to know that all 4 of these are going to be on one mat. Okay, so now I have my maker selected. I'm going to go ahead and select Make It. Because I'm working with Infusible ink, I need to mirror my image. Okay, so everything is mirrored, and then I'm going to go ahead and place these haphazardly on the mat just so I have enough room to get all of my pieces on there. So I'm going to have one in the corner, and then I'll put one at about 6 inches, and then I'll do one, let's see, we'll do one at 6, and then we'll do another down here. Okay, that looks good, and then I'll click Continue. Okay, then I'm going to browse all materials, and up in the search bar, I'm going to type in Infusible Ink, and I'm going to select Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet. Click Done, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my mat loaded. It also reminds us to make sure that mirror is turned on, and then the material is ink side up. On Cricut's heat guide, I'm going to look up my instructions for pressing the Infusible ink onto the ceramic coasters. So I'm going to select Cricut EasyPress 2 because that's the machine I'm using. For the heat transfer material, I'm going to scroll down to Infusible ink transfer sheet. For the base material, I'm going to say ceramic coaster. Now, I want you to be aware that there are 2 different types of coasters. There is the circle ceramic coaster, and then there's the square coaster. They both have different heating instructions, so you want to make sure that you look up the correct item that you are pressing. So I'm using the ceramic coaster, which is the circle one. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to say apply. It's going to go ahead and list my heating instructions of 400 degrees for 240 seconds with no pressure, and then we're going to wait for them to completely cool because they'll be very, very hot. It also gives us our stacking instructions right here visually, so we know how to stack and layer our Infusible ink coasters for the pressing portion of this craft. So when working with Infusible ink, you want to make sure your hands are absolutely clean. You want to make sure they are free from any oil or water, because the ink can actually transfer off and onto your fingers. So you want to make sure that you don't have anything on your hands that will disrupt the ink. So when you open your box, you'll see that the ink is in a black pouch, and that just helps preserve it when it's not being used. And then also inside you will see quite a few things. You will see some butcher paper. So they provide you with the butcher paper that you're going to need for the pressing portion. And then they also have a little cloth in here, which can be helpful if you want to test out some of the ink before putting it on your project. So it gives you a little tester cloth. And then you also have some additional instructions if you need them, and then a little desiccant packet just to help keep the moisture out. So I keep all of this stuff and put it right back in my box when not in use. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my ink. Again, I have dry and clean hands, and this is really cute. Okay, so I just need to decide what I'm actually going to use. Okay, so I don't have quite enough blue. I used it in a different project, and I do want to do some blue in here because I like that this floral pattern has some blue and red in there, so I kind of want to use all of those colors. So I'm going to go ahead and use some blue from this other pack. This is a brush sunset pack, and it's a little bit more distressed, I believe, or at least has some wavy marks in it, which I think will be kind of neat. So I'm going to go ahead and use the blue from that. But I am going to skip the mustard color, and I'm going to use this red sheet, and I'm going to use this floral sheet, and then I'll use the blue from this packet as well. So I'll link again everything below in case you want to see more about the actual patterns that I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I'm just going to slice these down so that they are the correct size for my coasters. Okay, so I have all my little pieces of Infusible ink cut, so I'm going to go ahead and place it ink side up on the mat. And the other side has little grid lines on that, so that is the side that's going to go down on the mat. So I'm just going to reference my little cutting mat preview in Design Space to see where I had placed all of those little coasters. That way they line up with my material. So I'm going to place one there. And then I just picked the ink that I wanted for each design. That way I knew which design was going to go with which color. And then this is going to go right about here. And then actually, do you see how the wavy lines are going this way? Well, my text is actually going this way as well. So I wanted my text and my lines or my streaks to go the same direction. So I wanted to be aware of that as well. So I'm going to place it this way on the mat so it cuts in the correct direction. And then my final piece will go right here, I believe. Okay, so I'm using my brayer tool just to make sure that my ink is really down well on my mat. Just make sure those transfer sheets are laying very, very flat. Okay, so now I can go ahead and open up my machine and load my mat, and then I will get cutting. Okay, so while that's cutting, I'm going to go ahead and take a lint-free cloth and really rub down my coasters. If for some reason there is any lint on there, then they will have a little blue fuzz that actually imprints onto the coaster, and it doesn't look very good. So even though these are right out of the packaging, you want to make sure that there is no lint on the coaster, and they do say this in the directions, so this isn't me just being super careful. This is actually part of the process that they recommend. Okay, so my mat is unloaded and it is finished cutting, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my mat over and then gently remove the Infusible ink sheets from the mat this way, just so that I don't accidentally ruin them when bringing them off. And this is a brand new green mat, so it's really sticky, but it's recommended that you use the green mat for the Infusible ink sheets because they're rather thick. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these and then we'll start weeding. Okay, so everything is ready to go. So to weed Infusible ink, you actually just use your fingers and you don't actually need to use any type of weeding tool. So what you do is you just kind of bend it and you'll hear it crack. Quite honestly, it's possible that the cracking part actually occurs when you're removing it from the mat. So if you don't hear a lot of cracking, it's possible that you just have already done it. And then you're just going to go around and remove the pieces that you don't want with your fingers. So I just bend the material and then the little pieces just kind of pop out and you can just grab them with your finger. And then I'm also going to remove the surrounding area just like this. And you're only leaving the part of the design that you want to keep on the actual sticky sheet. So then this is my final design. So then I can go ahead and leave this over here and remove the rest of the pieces. So then for this one, I'm going to go ahead and remove my surrounding areas. Let's see if I can crackle it at least a little bit. So that one had a little bit more crack to it. And you can really easily weed Infusible ink. I think it's super easy to weed. If you do need some type of help, they recommend using the tweezers over the traditional weeding tool, and that's because the weeding tool can actually scratch the Infusible ink. So you don't want to scratch it because if the ink comes off, oh, the EasyPress is ready. If the ink comes off, then it won't transfer in that area onto your project, so that wouldn't look very nice. So if you do use any type of tool, just be really careful of that. Also, just be careful that your nails don't scratch it or anything like that as well. You can also keep these little pieces that come off if you want to reuse them and press them onto another project. But I'm just quickly weeding out the pieces that I don't need just by bending and peeling up, just like that. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and continue weeding these out. Okay, so now that I have everything weeded, I can bring my little coasters in here that have been cleaned off. And I'm going to go ahead and also bring in my heat resistant tape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and center my little designs onto my ceramic coaster. So there's a shiny side and then there's a dull side that's rough. So you want to put the ink down on the shiny side. So I like to place my ink down on my mat and then put my coaster over it like this just to really get it lined up. And then what I do is I kind of just wrap the extra pieces like a present almost. And this is sticky, this clear grid lined sheet that is on the transfer sheet. So it's sticky, so it actually, you know, gets placed there really well. So then I just turn it over and make sure I have it placed how I'd like it, and if not, I can take it off and recenter it if I'd wish, which on this one I will. So let me see if I can get that a little bit closer. Okay, so then I like to take some tape and I like to just make sure that all of those pieces are really down. So I like to place some tape on there just to ensure that everything is really in its spot before pressing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and repeat that for all of my coasters. Okay, so now I'm ready to press my coasters. So they are all ready to go. They have the ink transfer sheet on there, and my EasyPress 2 wants me to start going. It's chiming. Okay, so I have all of the ink transfer sheets on my coasters. I have them taped down, and then I have my EasyPress mat, and I have a piece of white cardstock here. Now the cardstock is just providing a barrier against the ink and my mat so that the ink doesn't bleed onto my mat in case that happens. It doesn't always happen, but if it does, we want it to get on the cardstock and not on our mat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the coasters on my cardstock. So we're going to do design face down. So look at the side that has your ink transfer sheet with the design on it, and you're going to place that face down on the mat. So you see that I have my design face down, and then I have a 9x9 heat plate that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to place them fairly close together so that I can just do one press. Okay, and then I'm going to take some of the butcher paper. Again, this butcher paper comes with the Infusible ink, so it's in the packaging as well. So I'm going to place my butcher paper right on top of my coasters, just making sure those are close enough. Okay, so my coasters are topped with the butcher paper, just like that. And now I'm going to grab my EasyPress. So it's important that you don't move your EasyPress around when you're doing the Infusible ink because it can shift the ink and it can do some ghosting and make it smear. So you want to make sure you are really, really methodical and thoughtful with how you place your machine on there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my machine, and I am going to place it down without moving it. So I'm going to place it down, no movement, and I'm going to press go. Again, it's at 400 for 240 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to stand here and monitor it, but it's counting down. I'm going to make sure I don't touch it because I don't want to accidentally shift it or move it. So I'm just going to stand here and keep an eye on it, but I'm going to make sure to not place any hands on it during the pressing process. Okay, so it is just stopped. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to slowly lift my press up, making sure I don't lift it from side to side. So I'm going to lift it straight up, and then I'm going to place it right back on my little base right over here. So now what I'm going to do is I can remove my paper just like this, my butcher paper. And these are really, really hot. So I'm going to go ahead and let them cool completely, and then we will reveal the final look. Okay, so here is the final reveal, and one of my favorite parts is I always forget which coaster is where, so it's almost like a surprise each time I unwrap one to see which one. Also, I waited about an hour at least. I actually filmed a whole other tutorial while I was waiting for these to cool, so make sure you allow plenty of time for them to cool. Okay, so the first one is, oh, this is cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute, you guys. It is the sewing machine. Oh, look at how cute that is. That is so cute, and I love the design with it. That is really cute. I'm really excited to see this Infusible ink in real life now because I've had this box for quite some time and I haven't been able to see what it actually turns out like. And that is so cute. I think it's really also appropriate for this idea because the person I'm making this for loves to quilt and so it kind of resembles fabric. So I really, really like how that turned out. I love it. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the rest of them. Okay, so the question of the day was about what was your, or where do you like to shop, I think, right? Where your favorite place is to get craft supplies. So this is a hard question for me because I kind of do it in a variety of places. So, hold on. We have to pause for this reveal. Ooh, that one's really neat. The scissors. It looks like there's still a little bit of ink. Do you see on my my transfer sheet? But you can't tell on the actual coaster. It looks really, really good. Let me see my other one too. Make sure I don't have any. Oh, it has a little bit, but they're so vibrant that you wouldn't even tell. They look really neat. I like that one. That one's really cute too. Okay, so craft stores. Okay, I really like Hobby Lobby. I think some of their stuff is really unique, but I also find that Michael's is a place that I usually spend quite a bit of money at, or usually find exactly what I'm looking for at. Joann's is kind of hit or miss for me, but sometimes I find a really wonderful shopping cart full of stuff there, and sometimes I walk out completely empty-handed. I don't know, it's just one of those places for me. Okay, this one is so sweet. So, ooh, that one is really neat. Now remember, that one had that little stripe effect on it. Those are pretty, and it coordinates really well with those blue flowers because remember, I was trying to use this kind of as my base and then have the other colors just kind of pull colors out of that main one. Okay, so this, oh, this must be the button. Spoiled it for y'all. Okay, so yeah, let me know what your craft store go-tos are as well. Ooh, that one's cute. I love how that looks. That one's just so simple. That was such a simple design, but it's so appropriate as a little addition to this little coaster. Okay, that's how that little cute little coaster family turned out. I think the little designs are perfect for a quilter too. I think it's so pretty. They're very, very vibrant and fun. Also, you can see that that has an instant glossy shine to it. So pretty. So fairly quick and easy. It does take a little bit more time than the traditional craft with your Cricut, but it's always well worth it because the final look really looks very clean and polished, and I really like how that looks. So again, very easy to personalize. So whether your gift recipient is a fan of football or soccer, or let me try to think, or maybe a photographer, you could do a fun thing with photography, but you could just take their hobby and just run with it. And Design Space has so many images, so you can just, you know, really search for that keyword and then put some images together and make some really, really cute coasters. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please be sure to give this a thumbs up. If you know anybody who loves to craft, which is all of us, but if you know anyone who really loves to quilt and sew, be sure to share this and give this a thumbs up for them because we can inspire them with this cute little craft. All right, everyone, I will see you tomorrow for the next day. I'm really excited to share what's coming up. All right, be sure you're subscribed. See you then.